for me, the whole journey and the whole tradition started when I was young, and started when I was very young because it was inherent within my whole family and my whole family tree. So I grew up in a very spiritual and traditional Indian household, which meant them values of Hinduism and then roots of Hinduism actually stuck very much from childhood. So my journey started very young. And then I traveled to India more so in my teens, which then allowed me to explore, should I say, and explore my identity as a Hindu further and the actual religion itself further. And then through that, ask them questions, understand them questions, and then also study both in India and here, and gain that little bit more of an insight into what it really means. And for me, the aha moment was just me growing up in a family full of spirituality and full of them values, that actually the aha moment still sticks now. So when I read something, I still get that aha moment right now. So yeah. I grew up in the UK, based in a city called Leicester, but actually originally from a small town in Yorkshire in the UK, in fact, actually called Wakefield. So I think, as I mentioned, the traditional Indian household. So my parents are based and from India and traveled to the UK. So hence, they always had them values inherent through childhood themselves, and then settled in the UK and successfully settled in the UK, should I say. And as they successfully settled in the UK, in fact, them values inherently stuck with them. And as they stuck with them, they stuck with me in that household itself. So I think even though I was in the UK, I was still firmly rooted with them traditional values. And actually, my first trip to India was actually only when I was 3 years old. So hence why I think there's never been a discord or disconnection with my homeland, India itself, and B, them values that have come from my parents, my grandparents, etc. So yeah, climate change as such, and the clear echoing signs of climate change consists of a number of things. And if I start with the UK, the levels of pollution, I think personally, I live in a city, and luckily not a city like London, but if you go into London, you can just you can feel the fumes of pollution, and you're not, when you're breathing them fumes, it's certainly not a healthy thing to be doing, and it's automatically it's an alarm bell to say we have a problem, and we have a problem that isn't so small, in fact is so large. And I think, again, if I was to then look at farming and the vast amount of farming that's going on, and we see still now in the UK, as much as we're trying to work with governments and councils, still now in the UK we see mass farming, and that mass farming going on across the UK, with multiple farms and dairy products being produced on mass scales. And that is, again, a massive impact, because we see greenlands being destroyed. We see more and more in the UK specifically. There's very few places where you can breathe clean air in greenlands, which exist just for animals. And I think forestries are also being destroyed in the UK. Hence, there's a drive to plant more trees and put more trees in areas. So there's alarm bells ringing everywhere, throughout every industry that we see in the UK. And I think if I was to shift towards India, if you were to step into just Mumbai or Delhi, you can see just a black smog of smoke. And I don't say that lightly, you can. And that's, again, you don't have to look too far to actually understand that we have a problem, and we have a vast problem. And still there's a lot of milling and mass factories in India that currently pump and use still coal and certain negative materials, which then cause an effect to the environment. Hence why you see that black smog of smoke across Delhi in itself. So I think there's a number of things, and like I said, you don't have to step too far to see them alarm bells ringing. And as we shift towards using more electric based products and electric based cars, we're tackling a very small portion of that issue. But yeah, I think climate action is prevalent wherever you go, and you're never going to be able to turn your back on it. There's two dynamics here. So I have my day job and my day-to-day job, which consists of automation, as you mentioned, automation in that sense of automating processes, automating certain backgrounds of different areas of analytics. Analytics meaning system-based and data-based driven ideology, should I say, and also at the same time looking at how systems work and how systems can work better, the idea of continuous improvement as well. And linking that with what I do as part of, should I call it a hobby, or should I call it something that I really enjoy and I've got a keen interest in, is my extracurricular work, which is with Hindu Climate Action. And that piece of work that I currently do is something that I do when I have time and I have the ability to do it alongside my current day-to-day job. And that's a piece of work in which we really focus on tackling this huge climate emergency that we have at the moment. And there's a group of a very youthful group of around about 6 or 7 of us at the moment, in which we look at ways in which we can mobilize the current Hindu community within the UK and how we can help and support them to tackle this climate emergency that's currently going on, as well as raising that awareness. And that's a keen interest of all of ours. And in fact, some of us actually, in fact, also work within the environmental field itself as well. At this moment in time, where as Hindu Climate Action, as an actual group, if I give you a little bit of a background about certain areas of what we do, we're affiliated to the Oxford Centre of Hindu Studies based in Oxford itself. And they are a foundational organisation who specifically and really focus in on Hindu studies and areas of Hindu studies, right the way through from the language through to certain different courses that they offer as scholars. And we're affiliated to them for a number of reasons, through authentic knowledge and the authentic background, and also through the contacts that the Oxford Centre of Hindu Studies has to allow us then to further our reach as well. So in terms of the methodology and what we use, there's multiple things we currently do at the moment, and that's offer a number of different workshops in line with climate change, in line with Hindu values, in line with spirituality. And then workshops have taken place in temples across the UK. They've taken place online recently due to COVID shifting in for the last couple of years. And we also try and deliver them to a massive range of students across the UK in terms of their universities. And that is only to help them understand and educate them a little bit more about climate change and the issues of that we're facing as a community as well, and what we can also do as a community going forward. So it's equipping them for the future, and it helps them to understand what the innate and inherent values of Hinduism actually are. And then what we aim to do is trying to follow up with them and follow up with them through surveys, through multiple different ways and means in which we can then gather that data and understand, is our approach working? Is our methodology working? And if it isn't, then what else can we do that would benefit them further? So it's that whole feedback loop and constantly trying to cultivate that sense of understanding, and then at the same time also taking feedback on board to help improve our output and outreach as well. So in terms of our workshops at Hindu Climate Action, our aim is a number of things, and what we offer is also a number of things. So I'll come on to first what we aim to achieve. And we have 5 aims in terms of what we aim to achieve from our workshops. And that is, 1, to raise that sense of awareness about climate action and the climate emergency that's currently ongoing. Instill them key Hindu values and the Hindu tradition within all what we speak about. Inspire the Hindu community to go green. Run the campaigns that we've run across the UK in terms of with students, with temples, with multi-organizations where we can, and also at the same time join as many faith and interfaith and also climate initiatives where we can too. Now, what does the workshop offer you? Now, this is the key areas because I know people want to know what does it offer you, and it gives you a number of things. We share a number of resources with you, and that's in the form of packs to help you understand how you can go green, i.e. we offer temples a Go Green pack in which they're able to take leaflets out, take certain things and understand how they can go green. Simple things like recycling, actually contacting your local councils to support you in that journey, certain bursaries that people can get, certain climate grants that people can get. We also support students, and we run a range of student initiatives in which we help them with certain equipment, etc. So we offer that as well. And there's also a number of different things that we offer. The one thing I would say is you can sign up to a workshop and you can come along. Certainly you can visit the website that we have, which is hinduklimateaction.org, and that will give you more information towards what our workshops offer. Our spiritual scientists within Hinduism are called and referred to as Sapta Rishi. Rishi meaning a seer, a real seeker of knowledge. And them seekers of knowledge are what are the foundations of our faith in itself. And it's that same seeking of knowledge that we bring back to these elements of climate change. We bring back to these elements of this climate emergency. And we imbibe that level of understanding within. And that it's not just understanding within ourselves, it's that understanding within one another. And it's passing that knowledge on that's been given to us by our spiritual seers, again, referring to the Sapta Rishi, Sapta meaning seven, them seven seers that passed on that knowledge. And holding that knowledge, that value of knowledge, and passing that knowledge on back to the community. And that is our aim, and hence why them divine thoughts, them divine vibrations that exist still today in Hinduism, it's reviving them as a thought, reviving them as an understanding, and putting them out into context to say, this is what our values are and always have been, and sharing them thoughts. And I think that's what helps to inspire not just the youth of today, inspire everyone in every way to help them understand each piece and each piece of literature that exists, each piece of thought that exists within Hinduism in itself, helps then to build them blocks and build them blocks to then inspire the next generation to come. So it's that whole passing on of knowledge in which we really get into within the whole divine thought of experience. The one divine thought that I can give that resonates with me as such, and I think resonates inherently with the values that I've always been brought up with, are three that exist within the whole structure of Hindu climate action. And they're three things. And then three values exist as dharma. Dharma meaning that sense of duty, that duty to carry out for oneself, and also that duty towards humanity at large, not facing that idea of caste, color, and creed, in fact, all of humanity. The fact and the understanding of ahimsa, to not hurt anybody, to be able to be completely free of all harm towards not just living creatures, but beyond that level of living creatures as well. And thirdly, karuna, meaning compassion, that innate compassion towards humanity at large, that innate compassion towards yourself, to know that you are the source of compassion. You can breed that sense of compassion and light through yourself as well. So there are three things: dharma, ahimsa, and karuna. In essence, duty, non-harm, and compassion. They're the three that really resonate with me as a divine vibration that reverberates throughout Hinduism. The aphorism that exists is Vasudhaiv Kutumbakum, meaning we see the world as one family. Nobody is discriminated against depending on their caste, color, creed, identity, whatever it may be, background. Nobody is discriminated against. In fact, we are all the same. We are all from that one essence, is what Hinduism believes. And when I say that one essence, I mean that one truth, that exists. And that's the whole inspiration and the whole driver of Hinduism in itself. It's not to just have a sense of blind belief in something. It's that sense of belief in that one truth that exists. And that one truth can be in whatever form you believe. And that's the real unique essence of Hinduism, should I say. In essence, what it tries to give is give a portion to everyone in terms of what they feel is going to help them. And what I mean by that is that one essence could come in many forms, and that many form that it comes in, you get to choose what form you want to meditate upon. And that is the truly openness, the liberal mindedness of what Hinduism really echoes throughout. And I think that is what inspires the youth today. When we come back and take a step back and understand Hinduism from the aspect of them universal values that have existed from time beyond, and bring them back to life, because it's not just a religion. It talks about the whole religions and the vastness of them too. And that's what I think and I believe will be the driver towards inspiring the youth of the next generation. And that aphorism that echoes throughout, and we've heard it many times, of Vasudhaiv Kutumbakum, it's that innately sits within all. And that is one thing that I believe will be a driver for the future. And as we continue to echo these universal values through what we do at Hindu Climate Action and beyond, you can see the ripple effect it has, and the ripple effect it has with the whole community going forward as well. For me, and for the experience that I've gained in the short time of delivering and understanding the different backgrounds that we visit across our network, is I think there's two things. And the first is there's Sampradayik belief within Hinduism, and that has existed through time beyond, in terms of one having a sect that they believe in. And that isn't wrong. In fact, that's echoed to be something that one should do. And the reason why that is because then one has a focus towards what their belief system is. But what it isn't is to narrow yourself into that belief vision only, and that school of thought, should I call it, to keep yourself and box yourself in that school of thought. In fact, Hinduism has echoed the value of having debates, and having them debates in terms of understanding different schools of thought. And that's what happened through the scholarly vision and the scholarly passing on of these schools of thought. There was debates that happened back in decades ago, and them debates exist as stories today, and exist as stories to inspire us to say, if we exist in a school of thought, we are welcome to open our wings and debate different schools of thought, and let others debate our school of thought in terms of what I call a healthy debate, to understand one another's school of thought. And I think that's the key, is we have to understand that we all come from that one truth. And that's what I always come back to in discussion, that one truth is where all these schools of thought came from. And within all these schools of thought is different lenses of perspectives of Hinduism. And actually, them perspectives are helping us to understand how to live life, what we should do, how we can be better towards one another. And they give us these universal factors of wisdom to then go on and be better within our life's journey. So in fact, all of them give the same thing. The only difference is there's a slight change in terms of the school of thought that comes in, depending on what the scholar has grasped from the scriptures that they've read. And that is the key. It's not to see them as different. In fact, they're all part of that one same ocean. But it's your choice which one you pick. But just ensure that you don't get closed in to that wave as such. You make sure you stay part and submerged in that ocean of the full lens of Hinduism. And I think that's how I see this, and I try and get that message across. And you can see, like I said, it's slowly reverberating throughout Hinduism. And it's not something that will happen overnight, but it's something that as we continue to educate, as we continue to understand, it will make an impact in the future for generations to come. The one thing that I would want everyone to take away that would impact and benefit the climate is to think about every action one takes and whether that's a benefit to the environment or whether that is in fact harming the environment. And what do I mean by that? Very simply, if I was to put it into action, what are you buying that is needed, that you need, and what are you buying that you want? That's a huge, huge shift in terms of what one understands. And for me, I think it's that sense of acceptance to know, am I doing right or am I doing wrong? And it's as simple as that, just to recycle, just to do these small steps towards helping and benefiting the environment. So watch your actions is what I'd like everyone to take away. Vegetarianism, veganism is a huge part of what we do. As many know, that is a huge impact to the environment, i.e. the whole dairy, the whole meat, and the whole farming industry is very detrimental towards the environment. So vegetarianism, veganism is a huge driver of what we do. And again, we often deliver workshops based on food consumption, the level of food consumption, the impact certain food groups have on the environment, and offer a certain, again, a pack in terms of people understanding the benefits of how they can healthily go green in terms of their diet, in terms of vegetarian vegan diet, and what they can actually eat and what would actually help them, in fact, benefit them further in terms of their diet and health as well. Our scriptures drive people towards a sense of dharmic quality, that duty towards Mother Nature, that duty towards oneself, to look after oneself. And in fact, we echo the value of your body is your temple. If you're not going to look after oneself and what one consumes, then how can you then look after the environment in itself? So each of our scripture, in fact, every essence of our scripture talks about the environment and the benefactor of the environment, to the point where our scriptures also talk about how eating meat causes a negative impact on one's mental inclination, on one's body, and a number of different things. So yes, we do drive towards a vegan vegetarian diet, and our scriptures echo that. Our whole scholarly tree echoes that. In fact, to the point where when I was talking about spiritual scientists, they grew up on eating leaves in forests, and still managed to, should I share the words of wisdom. The second part to this is the question of, are all Hindus vegetarian? Answer's no, they're not. And I suppose that's because of generations and spanning of generations, and the whole diaspora moving towards different areas of the world. And different areas of the world having different diets means that it has an impact, whether people see it positively or negatively, on individuals. So there is that, and that does exist. But I feel there's a driver now within the community that people do want to shift their diet and do want to shift towards more of a vegetarian vegan diet based on our scriptures, based on our values, and based on the echoing of what Hinduism actually says, to actually not eat such foods, as they do cause a negative impact on oneself.